There is one simple yet fatal mistake that thousands of dog owners and their families make on a day-to-day basis. It's something that's so simple to implement, but it gets overlooked by so many. I'm sure we can all remember wanting an ice cream when we were young and trying to play our parents off against each other, trying to get at least one of them to say yes and agree. Parents can hopefully tell when their kids are doing this to them, but it's a lot harder to tell with a dog. The only surefire way to make sure it doesn't happen with your dog is to both be 100% on the same page at all times. If a dog asks one person and gets a no, but then asks another person and gets a yes, all it's learned is that begging can kind of work and that rules are a bit flexible. This can have some terrible consequences for both you and your dog. So let's take a look at why everybody in your house needs to be on the same page and why you shouldn't let your family get away with not following the rules too. I'm Matt and we'd love to hear from you on our socials where we're at SkoolDoggery. Drop us a comment below about what rules you have for your dog and don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube. Why bother with rules at all? Well, if you're raising a dog in a house with more than one person, it definitely needs to be a team effort, especially if everybody wants to have a great relationship with that dog. You'll all need to put at least a little bit of work in, but you will get some amazing rewards at the end of it. If only one person decides to follow a set of rules for the dog and nobody else bothers with it, all that happens is you get a confused dog that doesn't respect boundaries, that never knows what's expected from it and will constantly challenge you to see if that line's moved again today. It may sound like a strange idea to have some rules for your dog, but I'll give you some examples later in the video of the rules that we have our dog Freddie follow so you can see the kind of things that I'm talking about and why they have such wide-ranging implications. Now, I do appreciate that not everyone thinks that dogs should be subject to rules or boundaries and that we should just let dogs be dogs. There's so much wrong with that statement though that it could fill a whole video series all on its own. If you just let dogs be dogs, you'll never have any furniture left because they'll be chewing on it all the time. You'll never have any peace and quiet as they'll follow you around the house and whine when they don't get your attention. And your house will be covered in poo. Why will it be covered in poo? Well, toilet training, asking them to go outside, is a rule. So it turns out that even the let dogs be dogs people do actually have some rules for their dogs. Everyone has a set of rules for their dog. It's just up to the individual to decide how far you want to go. Now, we've certainly been accused of training the personality out of our dog Freddie, but often this is by the same people who in the next sentence will tell us that a mattress got ripped up by their dog, or that a dog jumped up on their side, ate a cake and had to go to the vet because it had got poisoning and had to have its stomach pumped out. Freddie is stuffed full of personality. He's never destroyed anything that we haven't let him, and the only time that we have to take him for the vet because he's eaten something is because of all the damn fox poo in the garden. These rules don't just make your house a happier place, they will give you a much happier and a much more confident dog. A dog that understands what's expected and what's acceptable is much less likely to get stressed out or develop any problem behaviours like guarding toys or the sofa. You might think, well, it's just a toy. What harm can it do letting him have it 24/7? But these things build up over time. Owning a toy here, free access to the sofa there, not respecting whose food is whose. These all build up to a dog that thinks that they run the house and they can do as they please. People think that having rules takes away the dog's ability to make its own choices, when in actual fact, if they know what's expected from them, they have a much better chance of becoming the architect of their own destiny. So let's get into some examples of the rules that we can ask dogs to follow. These are the basic ones that we instilled in Freddie from the moment that we got him home when he was 8 weeks old. But they would still work if you decide that you want to start having some for your dog, no matter how long you've had them. Dogs will pick up on some of these super quickly. We've seen dogs do them over the course of an afternoon. So it won't be difficult if you decide that it's something that you want to start doing with your dog, and we would love to hear about some of the results. 4 on the floor. This means that 4 paws should be on the floor at all times. Anytime that they jump upon a person, that person should immediately turn around and ignore the dog. Some people don't mind a dog jumping up on them, and if that's you, then that's fine. But it is the responsible thing to be able to tell your dog not to do it. Just because you like your dog jumping up on you doesn't mean that a little old lady in the street does. Alongside not jumping up any people is not jumping up to put their hands on the side either. Never let them put their front paws up on the counter, just gently push them off each time. This helps to reduce things like counter surfing and stealing things from the side. A dog that knows that it should have all 4 paws on the floor all the time knows not to go for that chocolate cake that's cooling on the countertop. Door manners. Every time that we leave the house, whether it's out the front door or the back door, we ask that Freddie sits and waits for a human to go out first, then he's only allowed out once he's told he can break. This really helps to prevent your dog from running out of the front door and into the road, potentially causing an accident or trouble, and gives you a chance to make sure that everything is safe for them first. I'll bet you've seen a video on the internet of a cat guarding a hallway and a dog that's scared to go past it. This kind of taps into the same kind of instinct. No jumping on the sofa. Freddie is allowed on the sofa, but only if he sits in front of us and gives us some nice eye contact and is polite first. The sofa is usually the softest, comfiest and snuggliest place in any house. So if you give a dog unfettered access to it, it may start to guard the sofa and only let certain people sit in certain places. By making them ask for permission, it reinforces to them that the sofa is yours, not theirs, and that they aren't entitled to anything unless they're polite first. If they're polite, if they ask nicely, then they can have everything that they want. No begging for food. We are lazy. And we like to eat our dinner off our knees watching the TV. So we didn't want him hassling us and expecting to be fed from our plates. Human food is way more dangerous for dogs than people realise. So we wanted to make sure that there was never any chance of him getting hold of any. We did it by starting having him in his crate while we were eating, then gradually letting him out of his crate onto his basket, moving his basket closer over the period of a few months, until eventually now we can happily have him up on the sofa with us while we're eating our tea, and we are 100% sure that he will not take any food from our plate. Access to toys. Now, we never leave toys scattered around for Freddie to have free access to. Giving a dog unlimited access to a basket of toys is step 1 on the road to a resource guarding dog. They need to know that all good things in their life come through you. So when it's playtime and we want him to burn off some of that mental energy with a toy, again, we ask him to sit, be polite, give us a little bit of eye contact, and then wait until he's told that he can break before he can play with whatever we've given him. Here you can see me doing this with him when he was 8 weeks old and he'd already picked up the idea. This kind of training helps them learn what's acceptable to chew on and what isn't. Now, that's by no means a full list of every rule that I've ever heard people have their dogs follow, but we've found that for us it proved to be a good mix between safety and pragmatism. Even if you just set up a couple of rules for your dog to follow, it will make a huge difference in your day-to-day life. Don't give up on them halfway through and soon it will become part of your daily routine. And before long, you won't even notice that you're enforcing the rules and that your dog is following them. Every single time that you ask them to sit and be polite for something, you are increasing their respect for you. Dogs love boundaries and rules. They thrive in structured environments, and I promise you that if you set a rule for your dog to follow, they will love you more. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. We've got so much more content here on YouTube and over on our social medias, so please consider subscribing and dropping a comment to let us know what rules you have your dog follow, or if you're going to start one that you've seen in this video. We're available everywhere as @SkoolDoggery, and until next time, please look after yourselves and your dogs.